Good evening, all of you. It's been, I'm sure you all are like a bit tired. So I'll be talking about polity and governance. Okay. And of course, the entire, it is one of the important subjects. Regarding the preparation, so we'll be predominantly this discussion would be academic as well as from the perspective of how you will frame things. Okay. So first important thing, whenever we start preparing for any exam, okay, so what are the two most important things that we need to go through? So what makes a student who is qualifying or student who is successful different from others? So two important thing is, one, you must go through the syllabus. Okay. So the first and the foremost thing is, when you start preparing for an exam, you should have the syllabus right at your disposal. Okay. And second is previous year's question paper. So there are conventional sources which are being recommended time and again, but syllabus happens to be the most important one. Okay. Have you gone through the syllabus? If you go through the syllabus, what you will find in the prelim stage of the examination, UPSC has not been that what you call benevolent or magnanimous in detailing out the things. So in the prelim stage, they have written Indian constitution, political system, rights issue, panchayati raj, etc. Okay. And in the current affairs also, they have written current issues of national and international importance. So prelims, they have not detailed out the syllabus. They have just written Indian constitution, political system, rights issue, etc. Although etc. is a dangerous term. Okay. And then they use the term current issues of national and international importance. Over the period of time, from experience and keeping into mind the previous year's question paper and the insights of UPSC, we do frame something, okay, that this is the broad parameter within which they are going to ask questions. Second, in mains stage of the examination, they have been very magnanimous and they have detailed out the syllabus. So every single person who is framing the question paper in any subject, he will have the hard copy of the syllabus right before him, and the keywords that are used in the syllabus, that you will find in the question paper. For example, there is a term mentioned, pressure groups. So you will find a question, there is not always, but you will find a question. So I strongly feel that when you start preparing, you must go through the syllabus very comprehensively, especially the main syllabus. Second, the dynamics of UPSC post 2021 has changed. Okay. So if you see in fact, in the prelim stage of the examination, they have made fundamental changes. In main stage of the examination, they are broadly following the pattern that this change they brought in 2013, where they added few new GS papers. So initially they used to ask 25 questions. Okay. So initially 1 or 2 years, they were asking 25 questions, but they thought in 3 hours time, 25 questions students would not be able to do. So now they have switched to 20 questions. Mains, they have not made broad changes. Similar kind of questions are being asked since the syllabus was changed. But prelims, they have made broad changes. They are no more asking easy questions, and this is the reason why the number of seats got reduced by 200 something in last few years. Still the cutoff reduced by 25 marks. And that is a monumental reduction. So the reason being that the psyche of the exam and the questions that are being asked after 2021 has changed. Okay. So very easy questions, broad questions were asked before something. If you see before 2010, so they used to ask mostly factual questions. How many spokes are there in Indian flag? Who takes a decision under the 10th schedule? Which of the following article is right to equality? What is basically broad questions. And from 2011, when they introduced CSAT, they used to ask conceptual questions, but undoubtedly 2021, I'm interacting with thousands of students, so they have completely changed. And who is an intelligent person? If if we have too much of information, it is not intelligence. Intelligent is the person who can see the future. So as a faculty, it is my, what you call, to the best of my ability, we must be to an extent prophetic about the future, to the extent God has bestowed us wisdom. So we have to reorient ourselves. If you see the questions that have been asked, I'll be, okay. If you see the questions that have been asked, so it can be broadly divided into three categories. The conventional textbook that is often recommended is Lakshmikant, M. Lakshmikant, Tata McGraw-Hill's. But you just go through the previous year's question paper in last 4 years, and I'm also eagerly awaiting for the question paper of 2024. You will find there are hardly 3-4 questions which are asked from Lakshmikant directly. And 3-4 may also be a very, what you call, very stretched number. I'm not saying that Lakshmikant is a bad book. I cannot say that. First of all, it is not an academic text. It is a notes. Okay. It is not a standard textbook. It is a notes which is the best compilation of facts at one place. It is the best compilation of facts at one place. So you must have heard about that book, M. Lakshmikant. So basically what they give, they have given facts at one place. What is important from that perspective? But UPSC is asking a question which is more conceptual in nature. For example, if they asked a question that on secularism, now they are asking a question, what French secularism can learn from Indian secularism. So in Lakshmikant, you will find the meaning of term secular, but you will not find what French secularism can learn from Indian secularism. I can give you umpteen number of examples. In Lakshmikant, you will find about Article 18. For example, we are talking about abolition of titles and all. You will study if you get what you call start preparing. But here they are asking insightful questions. They are asking questions which have an impact on the society. So conventional textbooks which have been prescribed over a period of time, without a shadow of doubt, are not enough. I'm not saying they are bad. So conventional textbooks like Lakshmikant will give you an insight, broad insight into the, what you call, into the scheme of things. For example, there is a body, koi bhi constitutional. What is a constitutional body? A body that is mentioned in the Constitution. For example, you have Article 324 Election Commission of India or Article 338 National Commission for Scheduled Caste. Any body that is mentioned in the Constitution is a constitutional body. That's Article 350B, Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities, Article 130, Supreme Court. Getting my point? So it will, conventional textbooks will give you an insight into the factual aspect, that this is a constitutional body, this is the composition, and this is the function. But UPSC is asking about its implementation. I always say in the class, for example, almost everybody in the class knows that we have right to free and compulsory education. Article 21A, the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children in the age group 6 to 14 years in the manner state may determine by law. So now I'll give you 3 broad examples. What is how UPSC is different from other exams, and I will be predominantly only focusing on polity and governance. So Article 21A is free and compulsory education, for example. UPSC will never ask you a question, what is Article 21A? Everyone who is preparing knows that Article 21A is 6 to 14 years students will be given some. UPSC asked a question, how Right to Free and Compulsory Education Act is able to incentivize school education in India. So they are not asking the factual question, what is Article 21A? They are asking a question, how that law has been able to impact school education in India. For example, Article 40. When you will start preparing, you will get to know these are basic articles. Anybody who is preparing for lower divisional clerk also knows that Article 21A is free and compulsory education. Article 40 similarly is village panchayat. Usme likha hai state shall take steps to organize village panchayat. UPSC will never ask what is Article 40. It is very, very less likely that they will ask what is Article 40. At the end of it, it is written, the state shall take steps to organize village panchayat, which everyone knows. But then it says, and to endow them with such powers, so as to enable them to function as units of self-government. As a civil servant, they are not going to ask what is Article 40. As a civil servant, they want you to know how our village panchayat should be empowered so that they function as units of self-government. They will never be asking what is Article 51A fundamental duty, how fundamental duties is bringing citizen awareness and to what extent. So the conceptual aspect is not addressed by the conventional book. And a new trend that UPSC has started, time and again they are mentioning in the question paper, according to the Constitution of India, according to the Constitution of India. So most of the students before 2 3 years, they just used to read the Lakshmikant or any standard textbook. Maybe somebody would be reading DT Basu or Subhash Kashyap. They are quite, or maybe MP Jan. But now UPSC is asking a question: according to the Constitution of India, Attorney General resigns when the government changes. According to the Constitution of India, the term judicial reviews. So what they want you to read the primary text of the Constitution, not the entire text, at least those articles that are in news. So the difference, so what are the key areas from where UPSC, so of course UPSC is framing its question. The most important thing that is required from the exam perspective is common sense and reading newspaper. Common sense and reading newspaper. Out of 14 to 15 questions that they are asking in prelims, 14-15 questions they are asking in prelims, at least 5-6 questions they are asking applied now, which is not given in the conventional textbook, which is only from newspaper. For example, in Sushant Singh Rajput case, throughout the year there was judicial custody and police custody. Immediately they asked judicial custody and police custody. Then they asked, what do you mean by bail and payroll? What is the difference? Then they asked Indian Prisons Act. Everything that is going around us is something which is appearing in newspaper time and again. They are not recruiting people for lower divisional clerk or those people who will be largely involved in information. They are more engaged in those students who have common sense and who have an understanding of the society. So reading newspaper without a shadow of doubt becomes the most important thing. The prime sources that we often recommend, first, so of course you need to go through the syllabus. You must be by heart every single term that is mentioned in the syllabus, that has to be covered. Then we have certain NCERT textbooks. So especially 2 textbooks which are often recommended by UPSC, not you, in the entire process of exam. One is class 11th and class 12th textbook, that is Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory. Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory. In fact, UPSC has been consistently framing one question from political theory. Okay, so those 2 textbooks, though, of course, Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory, you must go through. Okay, third is newspaper. Now I'll give you an example. For example, there is an Article 18 of the Constitution. Article 18 of the Constitution has clause 1, clause 2, clause 3 and clause 4. In all the conventional institutes or everywhere, usually the students learn 18 clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4. But UPSC asked an applied question from a website of government, padmaawards.gov.in, that how many Bharat Ratnas can be given in a year. In Article 51A, first fundamental duty, one of the first fundamental duties is to respect national flag. That is mentioned in the Constitution, national flag, national anthem, and ideals and institutions of the Constitution. But UPSC asked a question from Flag Code of India. So something that is directly mentioned, other than that, what is appearing in newspaper and what is an interdisciplinary. So you must learn the art of thinking. If, for example, the office of governor is consistently appearing in news, what are the articles in the Constitution related to the office of governor? What is the current, if there is any current affairs? So you must use the internet judiciously. So newspaper reading, and then you have that debate, the Hindu versus Indian Express. Okay. So both the newspapers are equally good. Hindu is also good and Indian Express is also good. Okay. So you can go through. Hindu is more insightful, but definitely Indian Express also caters. Okay. Next important thing related to polity, if you see in governance, in last 3-4 years, the weightage of governance has increased from polity. They have already exhausted most of the questions which are conventional in nature. For example, from fundamental rights, directive principles, conventional question they have already asked in so many years. So now they are focusing more on governance aspect. So many questions they are asking in prelim stage of the examination from governance. That what is a bail, what is a payroll, what is an Official Secrets Act, what is Indian Prisons Act, so many questions. So if you see, just to give you an insight, especially from the prelims perspective first, if you see, okay. Now broadly you can divide into 3 parts. One to conventional, one is conventional. Conventional you will read from any of the textbook that you are recommending. That is, everybody will cover. Almost everyone I'm meeting here or in old Rajendra Nagar predominantly, everyone will cover. Second is the conceptual part. Conceptual part means these questions you will not find anywhere on earth. These are framed by UPSC itself. For example, in that web series, he says the Jitu Bhaiya gives some 25 questions. He was able to answer 17 questions, but he was not able to answer 7 questions. So he asked, why you didn't answer these 7 questions? He says, those 17 questions I have taken from some textbook. So you were able to answer. These 7 questions I have framed by myself, so you were not able to answer because these are based on concept. So there are 2-3 questions every year which UPSC is inventing by itself, which you will not find anywhere. Jaise, for example, they are taking a topic liberty, they are taking a topic equality, they are taking a topic constitutionalism, they are taking a topic justice, they are taking a topic secularism, they are taking a topic fraternity, or for that matter, the present debate going on about socialism. Isse ek conceptual question hoga. Now, this conceptual question you will not find in any textbook. If your concept is clear, then you will be able to answer this question. Otherwise, you will not be able to answer because this has been framed by UPSC itself. Third part is the most tricky one. This also, thankfully, fortunately, UPSC is not asking too tough. Basic concept they are asking that what do you mean by liberty? So they asked a question, for example, I don't want to go into academics because then many of you have not even started preparation. So, but basic concept, what is liberty, what is equality, what is secularism? Isme bhi students are not that confused. 1 or 2 questions they make mistake. The third thing which UPSC has evolved is asking questions from newspaper, and that too governance based question. Governance based question. So what you need to do in this, okay, first, though conventional, I am least interested in the class or outside if you are able to answer those conventional questions, because if 4 lakh students are appearing and if 2 lakhs have also prepared basic, they will be able to answer those 5 questions which everyone will answer. Second, those conceptual questions, if you have done little bit of diligence and little bit of hard work, you'll do. This is the part that will actually make difference. That is how you have read the newspaper. So while reading newspaper, first important thing, you should know what not to study. That is more important than knowing what to study. Human beings are inquisitive by nature. We want to know more. Human beings are inquisitive by nature and we want to know more every time. So when you start reading a topic, you may like to know more and read more, but you must confine yourself to the demand of UPSC. Believe me, one common thing which I find in most of the successful candidates, that they know only what is required. Too much of academic scholarship will always deviate you from the prime. So you must know how you will know that, to what extent you should know. You should go through the previous year's answer scripts or the previous year's copies of the toppers, or for that matter, the successful candidate that is uploaded on the website of VISION IAS. So quite often it happens that there was a student who came, he wrote an answer on Article 239AA that deals with Delhi. So he came and said, sir, I have missed something. I said, you wait. I made him see one of the answers written by one of the toppers on the same topic. He has written half of what he has written. So you must understand that the syllabus of UPSC keeps saying that you must have a general understanding of these topics. So within a framework of 250 words or 150 words, you do not have the academic liberty to put too many things. So the prime goal should be that writing the demand of the question, of course, and then you must not go too deeper into the things which is not required. So how you will develop that art of writing, what people have done, your predecessors have done, and those who would be successful will also be doing the same thing. Go through the answer scripts of the toppers that is uploaded on the website and learn the art of writing an answer. And go through the answers of toppers, and then you will get to know that and of course in the classroom program also you will be what you call feeded with that information, but then you must develop the knack of writing. That is why we upload also. Okay, so I would say download the syllabus, go through the NCERT, go through the newspapers, and then we recommend the classroom material. Okay, where you will have, because the kind of questions that are being asked are very conceptual in nature. Okay, now let's come to the other aspect. Okay, in the main stage of the examination, there will be hardly one or two questions which are they asking static. For example, they asked what is the function of finance commission. This is directly given in the textbook that these are the four functions of finance commission, and they have hardly asked one or two questions. Or they will ask discuss the provisions related to national commission for scheduled caste. So for national commission for scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, these questions they are asking which are one or two. Technically, they are asking 12 to 40 questions from governance. In that, one or two question, maximum 3 questions which are static in nature. So in main stage of the examination, they are largely asking dynamic questions. Jaise, when discuss the role of, discuss gender disparity in judiciary. Discuss how old age affects globalization. Discuss how Indus Valley civilization can inspire town planning in India. Discuss the provisions related to XYZ law, Right of Persons with Disabilities Act, how it is able to, what you call, bring about a change on the ground. So what they are consistently asking, that while reading newspaper, you must be conscious throughout the year that this topic is appearing time and again, and you must make efforts by yourself to get an insight into the conceptual part of it. That is something which is related to how you will decode the entire newspaper. In the newspaper also, if you see, you have national, then you have city based, then you have state, then you have opinion, then you have economics, and then you have sports. So predominantly in the what you call city based news are of no significance to us. You have state based news are of no significance unless something pertinent going on related to constitution. Opinion of course remains very important. National news also, which a political brickbat or any statement made by a politician is not important. In sports also you need to be very, very selective. Hardly once UPSC has asked in prelims, that too from ICC test championship. Usually they dissuade from asking question from sports. Economics may, of course, you need to be going through what is important from the perspective of exam. Otherwise in newspaper also, initially students take 2 and 2.5 hours to complete the newspaper. Okay, 2 and 2.5 hours to complete newspaper. Gradually that time reduces to 35-40 minutes. So while reading newspaper, while going through internet, you must be more aware of the things that is not to be studied rather than what to be studied. One more thing, that 7 years or at least you can say 10 years question paper is something which is any test series cannot replace previous year's question paper. Any test series cannot replace previous year's question paper. Previous year's question paper gives you an insight into the minds of UPSC. Previous year's question paper are very, very important. When you start preparing for any exam, you need to go through two important things. First, you need to go through the syllabus, and second, you need to go through the previous year's question paper. Throughout the year, when you go through any topic, you must see what kind of questions UPSC has asked from previous years in this particular topic. That will let you understand what is going to come. Next important thing related to this, I'll say 10 years question paper, so at least you should go through. Okay. Some government sources. For example, some government sources ki I'll give you an example, then you will understand. Now this, for example, this particular topic, this question was asked by UPSC, which actually most of the students made it wrong. Most of the students. So usually in the textbook you will find what is the provision related to. Now this is a website of Government of India, padmaawards.gov.in. So there is one article in the Constitution, Article 18. So Article 18, Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3 and Clause 4 is taught in the class. Now this website, that is padmaawards.gov.in, you see this page. From this page UPSC framed three statements, and most of the students got trapped. How many times Padma Awards have been discontinued? This question was asked. Now a question which is factual in nature directly from the Constitution, you will answer. But while reading any particular article of the Constitution, you must also think what are the government, if there is a government website on that. For example, if we see the Constitution, if you are reading about a constitutional body, Any constitutional body. For example, you have National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. So this is a constitutional body which is mentioned in the constitution, so it will be a constitutional body. Okay, so those of you don't know, just a brief insight. Law can be an ordinary law or law can be constitution. But in India, there is only one constitution and there are many ordinary laws. So any body that is created by an ordinary law is called a statutory body, and any body which is created by constitution is called a constitutional body. For example, Protection of Human Rights Act, National Human Rights Commission. National Commission for Women Act, National Commission for Women. National Commission for Minorities Act, National Commission for Minorities. National Commission for Minority Educational Institution Act, National Commission for Minority Educational Institution. Central Vigilance Commission Act, Central Vigilance Commission. Lokpal and Lokayukt Act, Lokpal. Right to Information Act, Central Information Commission. कोई भी ऐसी बॉडी जो किसी ऑर्डिनरी लॉ से बनी है उसे हम स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी कहते हैं, और कोई भी ऐसी बॉडी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में मेंशन है उसे हम constitutional. Any body that is created by an ordinary law is called as a statutory body, and any body which is mentioned in the constitution is called as a constitutional body. So of course those bodies which have the sanctity, Central Bureau of Investigation established not by a law or by the constitution. Using a law, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. Using that particular law, the central government by a notification on the recommendation of Santhanam Committee has created Central Bureau of Investigation. Using the law, but it is not mentioned in the law. This is a very good question that he is asking, because CBI, there is always a confusion. Without a shadow of doubt, CBI is neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. It is created using power from a law, but it is not mentioned in the law. Jaise Law Commission of India, not a constitutional or a statutory body, just by an executive notification. Jaise Niti Aayog, by a cabinet resolution on 1st January 2015. Jaise Central Bureau of Investigation. वो bodies जो ना तो constitution में mention है, ना तो ordinary law में, सिर्फ उसको executive government ने बनाया. Getting my point? Now that you will learn later, I am not going into it. अब जैसे for example, this is a body. कोई भी कौन, सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सो देर आर 34 जजेस इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट इंक्लूडिंग द चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया. देर आर 33 प्यूसाइन जज एंड वन व्हाट यू कॉल चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया. सो in the constitution you will find what is the what you call function, power and all those things of these bodies or Supreme Court. But UPSC will hardly ask that how many this body consists of chairperson, vice chairperson and other members of commission shall be appointed by the president. So this they will not ask. What UPSC will ask from UPSC aspirant, other exams they may ask that what is the composition of the body. Here they will ask what is the function, what is the impact of the body on the ground. Here they will expect you to know, though at least have a broad idea to what extent that body has been able to bring about a change. So straightforward question, jaise Indus Valley civilization. In school we read Alamgirpur, Daimabad, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa or bronze dancing girl. UPSC asked a question, how urban planning in Indus Valley civilization can inspire contemporary urban planning in India. So they did not ask any question from IVC. They want you to think that how IVC town planning can inspire urban planning in India. They asked a question, how old age population is affecting how globalization is affecting old age population in India. So you need to start thinking. How will you will think when you will read newspaper? You will start linking things. Okay, you start linking things, then definitely things are going to be better. So directly from the constitution or the website, so the entire holistic approach that I was talking about, what should be the thing. So again, I am detailing out for you. You should have the syllabus at your disposal. Then previous year's question paper, that is almost always important. Then you have NCERT textbooks, at least 2 textbooks. So I will strongly recommend Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory. Then you have the provisions related to newspaper, and then you have any standard textbook. Any standard textbook that is there, but the most important role will be played by newspaper. For example, in last 1 or 2 years, what is the maximum constitutional crisis that you hear? There is a dispute between the governor and the council of ministers. So UPSC, you have to link the constitution is from article 1 to 395 of the constitution. There is official languages commission also in article 344, and there are other provisions also. But what UPSC is interesting कि जो भी चीजें आपके आसपास हो रही हैं उनको आप constitution से link कीजिए. Whatever is happening around you, you must link that with the constitution. So since there is an issue related to governor and his council of ministers, you must link that with the provisions in the constitution, article 163, 164. So newspaper reading, because they want students who can take decisions. They don't want students that you ask, okay, how many states are there, what is the capital? UPSC, there is a common perception that when you say to people that you are preparing for UPSC, they will immediately ask that what is the capital of Ukraine? What is the capital of Brazil? You give me one question where UPSC has asked the capital. So these kind of facts-based questions, they are not impacted. I'll give you how interdisciplinary question UPSC asked. There was a crisis in Afghanistan. There was a crisis in Afghanistan and there was whatever. So UPSC is more interested on interdisciplinary aspect. They will never ask that when did it happen, on which date it happened, and who is the leader over there. They asked the question that, of course, there was a refugee crisis. So refugees cannot go to troposphere. They will be going to the countries that share boundaries with Afghanistan, or they will be flying out of Afghanistan. So UPSC asked the question, which all countries share land boundary with Afghanistan? So interdisciplinary, if there is a war going on in what you call Israel or West Asia, they will ask a geography question. So jab bhi, for example, Sabrimala issue happened. Sabrimala issue happened right after the judgment. UPSC asked a question that from Kottayam to Kohima, if you travel from Kottayam to Kohima, how many states you are likely to cover? So if there is an issue related to Sabrimala, they may ask that which tiger reserve is near Sabrimala, what is the particularly vulnerable tribal groups are there, so what is the other aspect. So they usually ask interdisciplinary question. If there is a crisis going on in West Asia, they will ask a geography question. If there is a crisis going on in Afghanistan, they will ask a geography question. So while reading newspaper, just the element of common sense that is required is something which is very important. And especially in last 4 years, the kind of questions that they have asked, that is something which is required. I will not be stretching the session because you have already been 4-5 hours. So I just wanted to briefly talk about this. So governance has become too dynamic. Governance has become too dynamic. Rather than preparing month-wise notes, you should prepare topic-wise notes, because ultimately UPSC is going to ask question from topic. What all, just when you read newspaper, what all topics are appearing time and again, uska. Jaise, for example, if there will be a SSC exam, they will ask that who is the governor of X state, or this book has been written by whom. While UPSC will not ask these questions, who, what, why. When you are reading a newspaper, they will ask a question that what is the impact of this particular thing on the society. So thoda sa newspaper reading karte waqt, the approach should change. Too much facts is not required. The art of writing answer, ma'am has already spoken a lot. Okay, so that I won't be exhausting on that. So you must learn the art of writing answer. And governance ka element UPSC has increased. Uske piche there are other reasons also. UPSC wants to take young students. So if they will be asking conventional questions more, then those who are preparing for 4-5 years, they will have an advantage. So they want those students who are reading newspaper. So I strongly recommend that you read newspaper, and while reading newspaper also, you should know what not to study. Okay, so I think these are enough. And with respect to this, okay, if you have any question, I'll take, otherwise I'll wrap up the session. Any question you want to ask, any factual question, academic question, any question. Any question you have? This is a very good question, answer writing. First thing is that answer writing, with 2 minutes too, I cannot be able to transmit the art of answer writing. But I would say that what you need to do first, you need to read the question. Sometimes I evaluate the answer scripts. One common mistake that I find, the students have written everything other than the demand of the question. Jaise day before yesterday or few days back, there was a question, discuss the provisions in the constitution related to reorganization of states in India. So the question was asking that reorganization of states related constitution mein kya provision hai? What the student has written, entire history about Dhar Commission, JVP Committee, States Reorganization Commission, so 7th Constitutional Amendment Act. What the question was asking, there, it was only asking what are the provisions in the constitution related to reorganization. First important thing, you should stick to the demand of the question, because nobody is going to take the pain in the summer or in any time to evaluate your answer script. Nobody is your relative, so they will not take the pain to evaluate your answer script and find relevant points from there. There is, what is an answer? Answer is purely a communication between the examinee and the examiner. It is a communication. He doesn't know your ethnic background, doesn't know your religious background, doesn't know your academic background, your class. You are interacting with the examiner through an answer script. You must put things in such succinct and brief way that you are just trying to, you must impress the person at the first go. So when you write an answer, you must think that if I would be evaluating an answer of someone else, what should I be looking for? And it should not be too comprehensive. Thoda point wise likhna hai. It must be clear. Demand of the question must be addressed. Then you must know the art of writing something which others have not written. Students vastly use, if you go through the answer scripts of successful candidates, you will find that they usually go through what you call this what you call some diagrams or something, or some charts, certain statistics. So the ideal way, of course, in the class, frequently your answer scripts would be evaluated every day. Every day one question is given and it is evaluated every single day throughout the year. You are given one question to write, subjective and prelims based 3-4 questions, and that is evaluated, and you are given a comprehensive feedback on your writing skills. A comprehensive feedback on your writing skills, then you will develop that, and that will take time. So many students come to me at the onset of the batch where they are uncomfortable with the writing, and the same students, by writing 13-14 questions, gradually the whole style increases. Get any other question you want to ask? हाँ पूछिए. हाँ.
जैसे MP जैन की किताब अच्छी है.
You can take the mic. Okay.
हाँ जी. MP जैन की किताब काफ़ी अच्छी है, वो पढ़ने में अच्छी लगती है, मतलब इन कंपैरिजन लक्ष्मीकांत, या फिर DD वासु ले लो.
Okay.
तो फिर उसे कैसे रिप्लेस करें लक्ष्मीकांत?
See, for the online students, one student is asking a very perennial question, that how can we go through when you have textbooks like DD Basu and MP Jan, and then you have Lakshmikant, how can we replace? First of all, DD Basu and MP Jan are for academic scholarship. So UPSC, just I'll give you a common insight. UPSC is more restricted than you. UPSC is more restricted than you because they only have the liberty to ask 20 questions. And even in the personality test, that is interview, you will be getting 30 to 35 minutes in the interview, and there will be 5 people sitting over there. They hardly have 5 minutes, 7 minutes each to ask. So they do not have the time to examine you comprehensively. 20 questions UPSC is asking in polity and governance, 3-4 questions they will be asking from international relations, 2-3 questions without a shadow of doubt they will ask from social justice, and then they are left with 10-12 questions. And that too in the time frame of in 7.5 minutes, either 150 words or 250 words. Even if you study the entire DD Basu, it is of no use, because you are not required to write that much. So I strongly feel that those textbooks may make you a constitutional scholar, but that is not required from UPSC perspective, and I'm not at all negating the textbook also. Some important topics like judiciary, fundamental rights, especially Article 14, 19, 21 and 25, or judiciary, or the lawmaking aspect, which is more conceptual in nature, you can read from a standard book. When at your age, when you start preparing, there is always understand, those students who are smart are more likely to qualify. There is a quest and there is a human psyche within us that if we know more, we will qualify. But UPSC doesn't require, they cannot expect students from diverse background are preparing for UPSC. In the class, sometimes I see medicine graduates are sitting, management graduates, metallurgy graduates, engineering graduates. They cannot expect all of them to be a law scholar. So, zarurat hi nahi hai. You're not required to go through those things. Even if you, for example, collegium, in the year, there are 50 articles appearing in newspaper every year, or 70 articles on collegium. Even if you read 70 articles, which is broadly 1000 to 1200 words, it will be 70,000 words. If you read 70,000 words, ultimately you will be writing an answer of 250 or 150 words, that too if they ask. So this is giving disproportionate attention. The purpose is not to become a constitutional scholar. What we used to study in college and what we are doing now is entirely different.
The purpose here is to meet the demand of the exam. So those textbooks broadly, I don't think you need to cover. If you give the same time to newspaper, it will be more productive and more prudent. Okay, some topics from those particular, what you call, that you mentioned, textbooks, you can go through. Samjhe? So newspaper is more important. Going through previous year's question paper is more important. Getting an insight into the minds of UPSC, what kinds of questions. For example, for collegium, just saying, for collegium, I can speak for 3 days. Even if I can speak for 3 days on collegium, then also I'll be writing an answer of 150 to 251. I'll give you a reason. Last year, there were few interview candidates whom I was interacting with. And some of them were having political science as an optional, while it was general interaction. So the more I interacted, and every time it gives me the same faith that the more you interact, I sum up that successful candidates are there because they know what not to study. So always understand that there is a common psyche that if we'll read 5 books, we'll qualify. No. Even if you read the prime textbook, Vision IAS material or Lakshmikant, and then the issues that are happening in the what you call current, that you will use internet judiciously. Use internet. Internet is a two-edged sword. Without a shadow of doubt, we are living in an era of democratization of knowledge. Democratization of knowledge. Imagine some 17 years back. For example, there is a term in law that I want to verify. So at that point of time, there was no internet. You have to go to the library or order the book. Now you have at your fingertips everything. So use internet judiciously. Always be aware that this is a competition and you are in a competition where they are not testing academic scholarship. In fact, if they know that you know too much, then more likely that they will not be taking. Getting my point? Because they want students who have common wisdom. I'll give you a joke. There was a student who got less marks in interview. Okay. So somebody said to me that he gave one answer. He was asked that what is one of the problems on some caste-based problem, or some problem was asked to him, that why this problem, what do you think is the most important reason for this problem? Rather than giving out reasons, he thought that he will be answering in a more revolutionary fashion. He said the biggest problem is that we don't want to solve the problem. He gave something which is quite different, which was unconventional. They gave 110 and asked, and of course they will not show that there. So you have to be conventional. You have to be reading proportionately, not disproportionately. Scholar nahi banna hai. This is one such problem which I see, especially many students. You need newspaper and go through the basic textbook. Newspaper padhte waqt. If I am writing an article in newspaper, a news item, not an opinion, a news item in newspaper, I have 150 words. So on a topic, I cannot write everything. Even if I am writing about judiciary, एक छोटा सा 2 column आएगा, I cannot write everything. So you pick the topics, you make some more search on your own and prepare your own notes, and directly you will write that. That is something which is important. Any other question you want to ask? State PCS, state PCS first, we cannot give a generic answer because every state PCS have their own requirement. If you go through the syllabus of state, UP PCS is different from Bihar Public Service Commission. In general, in last 7 to 8 years, most of the state PCS have aligned themselves with UPSC. If you see the I'll give you a reason. In 2015 mains, Bihar Public Service Commission asked a question. What are the views of Rabindranath Tagore on nationalism? What are the views of Rabindranath Tagore on nationalism? A similar question surprisingly was asked by UPSC last year, that what is common between Gandhiji, what are the views of Gandhiji and Tagore on nationalism? So predominantly over the period of time, mains part of the examination in state PCS has aligned with the UPSC, but still I will give you 3 caveats, provisos, conditions. 1, you should go through the syllabus of that particular state public service commission. Second, you should go through the previous year's question paper of that particular state public service commission to get an insight. And third important thing, in state PCS, prelims is a different ball game. So that is something which is different because they are asking too much factual question. So from prelims oriented, you must follow the sources which are conventionally recommended. Mains may I see most of the students who qualify prelims from the class, the success ratio is relatively very high. Okay, because in mains your writing skills are there and students diverse background, relatively things would become easy. The one difference that is there in prelims, UPSC is largely going into the psyche of what you call candidate. But in state PCS, they will be asking you factual questions. So thoda sa wahan pe you need to have a different approach. So any other question you? हाँ, NCERT बाबू is the basis. Okay, it will not cover the mains. NCERT will give you an insight on the topic. Liberty क्या है, equality क्या है, fraternity क्या है, secularism क्या है, principle of parliamentary form of government क्या है. That is just the basic. Then we will incorporate that with the constitution and the current affairs. You will have separate lectures of current affairs, but usually when we teach a topic, we do incorporate the current affairs also. Okay, so NCERT enough नहीं है, पर NCERT तो basic आपको करनी, स्पेशली टू एनसीईआरटीज दैट यू नीड टू डू, दैट इज इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एट वर्क एंड पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी. इफ यू वांट यू कैन ऐड 2 मोर. वन इज डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिक्स पार्ट 1 एंड डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिक्स पार्ट 2. जी पूछिए, बताइए.
Sir, apart from covering the syllabus, how should we approach prelims question on a daily basis?
Very good question from prelims question. First, I will answer from the class perspective. Every single day, when the lecture gets over, 5 questions are framed from that particular topic, which are related to prelim stage of the examination, and from that topic, and 1 question from main stage of the examination, and some self-analysis questions from main stage. So this will be given without a shadow of doubt. If you practice if you go through all the books available for humankind on earth, then also you will not qualify prelims if you have not practiced papers. Why? Because I give you a book on cricket. Will you become a good cricketer by giving you a book on cricket? I'll give you the best book on cricket where you have all the shots written in it. But you will become a good cricketer if you play cricket. On daily basis, 2 different aspects are there. If you are doing a static topic, on daily basis, then static topic may in Vision IAS material or at the back of Lakshmikant, you will find questions related to that particular topic. From the dynamic perspective, you need to find what call questions. Usme bhi, for example, you are reading the topic of governor. So topic of governor can be static also and can be dynamic also. Dynamic, every day 5 questions would be given every single day from that particular topic. And over the internet also, various social media sources also, they release that particular topic with the questions. Okay, so I think this has to do, and this is one of the most important things. Throughout the year, if you just practice 5 questions, small questions, at the end of the day, it will translate into, at the end of the year, it will translate into 1500, and then you will practice more papers. If you go after practicing 5 to 6,000 questions, most of the questions which UPSC will be framing will hover around that, and it is more important to go through the analysis of the question. जो भी क्वेश्चन आपने अटेम्प्ट किया, उसमें आपने कहाँ गलती की, what mistakes you made, you self analyze, and definitely this is going to be very fruitful. Okay, any other? Pre may see, one student is asking a question that if the options that are given at the analyze, matlab analyze, okay, notes का देखिए, notes is something which is very subjective thing. Notes is something which is very subjective thing, depends upon the student to student, but you may make notes of current affairs, those topics which are in news. Regarding static part, notes only helps you in revising. Okay, so definitely you can make notes for the static part. That purely depends upon your aptitude. It is no general formula. If you feel that you can go through the textbook and revise, then you can do that. But if you feel that entire textbook should be summarized in a small note so that it becomes easy for me to revise before prelims, तो आप बना सकते हैं. हाँ, पर एक चीज जरूर करेंगे, one thing, current affairs में जो topics आ रहे हैं, उसमें थोड़ा सा you will have your own notes also, because that you will not find in any of the conventional. For example, he was talking about DD Basu, MP Jain. एक बार वो books लिखी जा चुकी हैं. Those books have been written. Now, getting my point, those current affairs में broadly notes play a key role. For static part, depends upon student to student. Some student directly devises from the textbook, and some students summarizes the textbook in a booklet. वो आपके aptitude पे. But definitely it is going to help if you have summarized it. It will take time. So, हाँ, अच्छा, India Yearbook का है. India Yearbook is a very voluminous and a very bulky yearbook that is released. Okay, it has ample of data and ample of facts. Without a shadow of doubt, that is not important. You cannot give a black and white answer that you negate the book, but some topics that will be discussed in the class, that these all topics in Indian yearbook are important. उसके अंदर जो statistics हैं, उसके अंदर जो facts हैं, उसके अंदर mundane to repetitive facts are there that are not important. But every year you will have something, you will have a separate class on that, and then they will address your doubt. क्योंकि ऐसे it would be injustice to say. पूछिए. Okay. How do you rate that whether you know too much about a particular topic or you are underperformer or whatever what you call? This is a very diligent question. See, please understand. The best way to analyze oneself is by going through rigorous test series. So 5 questions that are given for prelims, how many questions every day, how many questions you are going to make correct? And second, throughout the year, the subjective answers that you write, they will be evaluated. This is one of the what you call one of the conventional thing that is followed for success, that you must write answers throughout the year. When you write answers for throughout the year, then you will be periodically evaluated. जब तक आप आंसर नहीं लिखेंगे और कोई और उसको evaluate नहीं करेगा, आपको ये नहीं पता चलेगा कि आप कहाँ stand कर रहे हैं. Unless you write an answer and it is evaluated by someone else, then you will not get to know that how you have. So when you will write an answer, first time, for example, she wrote an answer. She wrote an answer which has too many facts, which is not required by UPSC. Gradually, somebody will give a observation that these 2 facts are not related to the exam. And after 3-4 answers, you will start falling in line. So I think writing answers, periodically getting them evaluated by someone else, then that definitely will make your answer more rich. One thing, as a benchmark on the website of Vision IAS, you will have answers of the successful candidates uploaded that you can go through, that will serve as a North Star for you and you can follow that. Anything, Puji? ठीक है जी.
उसके बाद प्रिपरेशन करना है तो उसके जीएस पहले स्टार्ट करूं या फिर ऑप्शनल?
Okay, see, from the one student is asking from political science optional perspective. From political science in GS, first of all, a very wise man once said, a very senior person once said, which I remember, that in general studies paper, your optional should never be reflected to the examiner. So when you, of course, if he is having political science as an optional, in GS paper 2, he will have some edge over others because he is a graduate in political science. But a very senior person once shared wisdom that you should never allow the examiner to know what is your optional, because his expectations will go high. So while writing an answer, especially in the GS stage, I think those, if you are quoting John Stuart Mill or you are quoting any other scholar, I think that you should dissuade. You should learn the art of writing plain answer. Now, second part, which he is asking, whether you should start optional first or you should start GS first, I strongly feel that there is no such dissection. The exam is a very holistic exam. You should start preparing for mains that automatically will incorporate prelims. After a certain stage, January 15 or whatever, depends upon the candidate, you will switch your gear and you will only prepare for prelims. So you can start your optionals as well as GS together. In GS, you should strongly take note that your academic intellectuals from the optional side is not reflected, so that the examiner doesn't get to know that what is your optional. So you'll write very plain answers that are conventionally accepted, and in optional, so of course you need to be more scholarly.
क्योंकि बिकॉज मैंने ये सोचा है कि मेरा 2026 में ग्रेजुएशन होगा, तो 25 तक मेरे को ऑप्शनल और जीएस पूरा कवर करना है.
If you are there are many students in the class also who will be appearing in 2026 and they will be graduate in 2026, so you can cover by 2025 everything. If you cover everything by 2025, 1 year you will have for writing answer and 1 year you will have for revising throughout the year. I'll give you one more reason. There was one student who came, he got some very good so when the final results came, at that time the student was writing mains answer. In the evening when the results came, he was writing mains answer. So he was already preparing for the you're getting my point. So throughout the year, you complete your everything, coaching and everything by 2025, and you will have one complete year that will give you time to go through periodic revision, and most important thing, self-analysis through attempting the prelims question as well as mains test series for GS also as well as for your optionals. ये आप 1 साल करेंगे, उससे पहले you can wrap all your what you call program that you want to take, coaching program for GS or optional, whatever you want to do, उसको आप 1 साल पहले ही खत्म कर दीजिए. Then end it before 1 year. Last year you will be only having rigorous academic exercise, self-analysis, test series of optional as well as GS. Without a shadow of doubt, Babu, the most important thing is test series. आप कितना भी पढ़ लें, unless somebody will evaluate you and let you know that आप यहाँ गलती कर रहे हैं, you will not be able to improve. 1 साल पहले से ताबड़तोड़ in a very conventional and a very strict, rigorous, religious way, you will do your test, writing answers regularly, getting it evaluated in the class, getting it evaluated by your friend also at some point of time, reading the answer scripts, and also interacting with the teachers time and again. This you should do. Okay. So I think we have taken all the questions. Okay, you have a question, please.
Sir, a lot of toppers suggest that we should complete our optional first till October. So, will it be okay to cover optional first till October, and then in November and December would be able to complete the GS syllabus?
See, you.
Sir, I have covered actually the basic reading of the subjects like economics, polity, and history.
Okay. So one student is asking a question. First, should we cover the optional, then start with GS? And he is also quoting some people. Okay, first of all, everyone has a different strategy. There is no, there are some basic conventional. I cannot reach the building from this side. There are conventional gates. I need to opt for those gates. Other than those basic parameters which are followed broadly by the successful candidates or always recommended by the faculties, you all will have your own strategy. First thing. Second thing, I don't find a single reason that you will only be concentrating on optionals till October, because now that you have done your basic reading, that is something good, but I think you should do along with. What you can do till October, you can, out of 24 hours, whatever hours you are devoting, depends upon an intellectual aptitude of a student, you will give more time to optional. But I don't think that suddenly you will start, because while preparing also, if you change the subject every day, then that also refreshes you. So if you're reading only one thing in the evening, you read something related to culture. So I think GS को इतना ignore नहीं कर सकते. And always remember, GS has 1000 marks in Prelims. So I think that is मतलब ऐसा आप कर सकते. One thing that some students from January, they completely shift the gear and concentrate on Prelim. That depends upon some students I see in the class who comfortably sail through Prelim. They start from March because they're but I don't think dissection हम नहीं कर सकते. Okay, we cannot dissect those things. Any other question? So we are wrapping up the conversation. Okay. So if you have any doubt, you can interact after this. What interaction? Also personal interaction. You can come. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Please just 2 minutes of your time. I'll take 2 minutes of your time. Achha, so UPSC changed the pattern in 2013. I hope you are all aware. So what we do is we conduct similar sessions all across the country. Okay. And we have a VISION IAS YouTube channel. You can go and check all these videos. We have session on geography. We have a session on previous year questions. We have a session on quick revision document analysis. Okay, so you can go and check that there. Apart from that, do you know how to access the toppers copies? You know that, right? So you go to visionis.in/resources. You'll find the toppers copy. You'll find current affairs material free of cost. Everything will be there, even though we also have 7-year analysis document for all the subjects. Okay, mains and prelims. Lastly, we'll be launching a new batch this Tuesday. It will be starting from 5:30 p.m. It will have 300 plus classes for GS and CSAT, along with essay, case studies. Everything will be covered, except optional. Optional for that, we'll have a separate classes. Okay? And along with that, you'll also get mentoring support. You'll have batch coordinator support. सब कुछ मिलेगा आप लोगों को. ठीक है? So with that, thank you so much for joining here, and all the best.